Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Coach Landon. We're back with another episode of Beyond Tomorrow Recruiting. Today, we have another first. I know I keep saying eventually we're going to have an episode with no first, but that's not today. Today, we're going to talk to Hannah Shinall, the first female perspective on her recruiting process, on what it took to get to that level, and a couple other things. So, let's go ahead and drop this intro, and then we'll jump into some questions. Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Beyond Tomorrow Recruiting. Today, we have Hannah Shinall, and we're going to let Hannah do a quick introduction, and then we'll jump into some questions.
Hi, I'm Hannah Shinall. I'm going to an NAIA in South Dakota called Mount Marty University.
There you go. And then high school, you attended.
I attended Riverton High School. I graduated from Riverton. I started my freshman year and I went through my junior year at Corner Canyon High School.
And then AAU, kind of talk about who you played for and some of your coaching you had in your AAU career.
I played for Premier mainly through my recruiting process. I played under Anita Rowland. She has been around for a very long time, so I played under her. Yeah.
Definitely. So, started at Corner Canyon High, transferred to Riverton. Obviously, transfers and kids going to school with their friends and all the different reasons that high school transferring kind of feels like the collegiate transfer portal right now with kids kind of moving around. Give your input on why it's so important to find the best fit for a player through high school, even if it does mean that maybe you potentially transfer from the school you start at.
Yeah, so a lot of when it comes to recruiting or maybe getting to the next level, a lot of my offers and a lot of the people that have seen me or reached out to me or saw my film, it wasn't through high school, it was mainly through club. So I took that and I was not happy at Corny Canyon for a few reasons. One mainly being basketball and some playing time. And we got a new basketball coach who came in my junior year. And honestly, I think it's just really important to find where you're happy and what feels right and where you fit in the most, especially with the people around you and your coaches who are going to build up your confidence and the academics that fit you. Because ultimately, I feel like that will take you farther than potentially like staying at a high school that might be bigger just because you want the name of it maybe being bigger, but you would be happier at a different school. I just feel like taking where you feel is happier, where you feel safe, and where you feel you have friends and people backing you is very important, and where your confidence can grow. Because that was a really big thing for me, is my confidence grew a lot when I came into a better environment at Riverton and a coach who showed he really valued me as a person and a player as well. So yeah.
Sure. Yeah, that I think people underestimate the importance of a good player coach relationship. A lot of people think, oh, my school's this big. I'm going to play against this competition. That's where I want to be. But I think the importance of a really supportive, a really strong player coach relationship kind of flies under the radar with all the other aspects and factors that go into high school athletics. So I love that you said that.
Yeah, and I mean, I was at Corner Canyon, which is arguably the toughest region in 6A, and I was a little wary about leaving that because I was thinking, oh, better competition, more people will watch me. But that just didn't end up being the case. And I was so much happier when I came to Riverton and I was with girls who supported me and coaches who supported me. And the academics fit me very well as well. So it was very
Yeah,
a good.
yeah, I love that. You did mention recruiting as far as being seen, kind of getting that exposure piece and that being a concern and a factor in your thought process when you consider transferring. So I kind of want to talk about the recruiting side. So you went from a 6A school to another 6A school. You still played in probably the second best region in the state. You had really good competition through your senior year. Talk a little bit about outside of being on the court. So obviously your play is going to stand out and be what gets coaches' attention. But on the recruiting side, what was the most effective way for you to kind of connect with coaches? There's social media. A lot of coaches in college are on YouTube or watching Instagram videos or have Twitter accounts. I know some players will reach out to coaches and direct message them. Sometimes they'll email them. Sometimes they'll try to call them. There's a million different ways for players to get in touch with coaches. There's recruiting services. There's word of mouth. There's friends of your coaches, your high school and your AAU coaches. What worked best for you in the sense of getting in touch with college coaches?
Honestly, the service that worked the best for me, I would say, was Twitter. I don't know if this is a unique situation or not. I did email and reach out to a lot of coaches. Um, I None of the coaches that I reached out to first ever offered me or showed me a lot of interest back. It ended up being the people on Twitter who reached out to me first. And honestly, I would say just keeping Twitter updated really helped me too. I would like go to the gym and my dad would film like me making a few shots or like drills or free throws or something. And it's very simple, but it really like puts yourself out there, and coaches will just be scrolling and see it. Like my Mount Marty coach, the reason he found me out was he was just scrolling and he found one of my highlight videos and it just went to my profile. So I feel like keeping that updated was really important for me. Recruiting services helped get my name out as well. And so that helped as well. But I would say just getting your name out there and emailing coaches. I mean, it didn't like quite work for me, but I feel like it's also really good to just get your name out and build that confidence that you're able to reach out and talk to people instead of just letting them come to you. So, yeah.
Yeah. I tell kids all the time, Twitter's probably the best free service out there because you can create that profile, you can show whatever you want, you can talk about your GPA, you can put AAU highlights, high school highlights, still photos. I try to get as many kids as active on Twitter as possible because it's been insane as far as building my network over the last like a little over a year. So I think it's a very valuable tool, and I wish more kids understood that, especially high school kids that are looking to get recruited. It's just such a grand central station of so many coaches that are on there looking for players. So I'm glad you said what you said, and your coach was able to find you on there because that kind of drives home the point that I try to emphasize to a lot of parents and players. So that's perfect. You did talk earlier about like the academic side when you were choosing your high school. Um, you've always maintained a pretty good GPA. So, what would you say is how significant would you say your academic consistency and having that high academic performance through high school played as far as getting into college? I know some schools, D3s don't have athletic scholarships. So D3s will look at an academic scholarship and then some sort of financial aid or Pell Grant, where other schools, if you do have high academics, they can kind of mix and match your athletic and academic scholarships and things like that. So kind of speak to how you were able to maintain that high GPA through high school and what role that played in you being able to accept a scholarship for college.
Yeah, it played a really big, it was a very significant part. I would tell a lot of coaches my GPA. I had a 3.95. So I maintained that through high school. But I would tell coaches, my GPA, and they'd be like, "Oh, okay, perfect. Like we don't have to worry about you."
Hmm.
That was good to hear. I mean, because I feel if you have a higher GPA, coaches are more likely, to trust you in the classroom, and they don't really have to worry about whether you're going to play or not, based off your grades. Um, so I mean, yeah, coaches would always, I would always advertise my GPA because I knew it was something that coaches were looking for also. So,
Yeah. So outside of your on the court performance, obviously that's the first thing that coaches are looking at is, does this player fit our system? Um, your recruiting process kind of took a weird path. It was kind of non-traditional. It wasn't like bombarded with a ton of offers early. Some of your offers came a little bit later throughout that senior year. So in the big picture, the overall grand scheme of things, what would you consider was kind of that highlight, like your favorite part of the recruiting process? And then what was kind of that stressful, like, oh, I can't wait for this part to be over? Kind of that, the two opposite ends of that recruiting process spectrum. Kind of speak to that a little bit.
yeah, so coming from a school at Corner Canyon where it kind of um, lowered my confidence, I started getting offers. So once I started getting one, it was almost like they just kind of all followed. And it also came with getting more followers on Twitter and getting myself out there. But I feel like the best part of it was because my confidence was lowered, coaches coming to me and saying how much they like me and how much they would value me and like my strengths that they really like. Cause it was almost a confidence boost because I was like, wow, like these college coaches like really want me because of I have a strong skill set. And so that was like, it was really good. And it was a really big confidence boost for me. And it has followed me for a while now. I would say the most stressful part was probably choosing.
Mhm.
I chose a little later than some other people. So, and my whole thought process was like, I really don't want to make the wrong choice. Like, what if I make the wrong choice? And I feel like a worry for everyone when they're trying to choose between offers. And I had two in particular I was choosing between, and it took me a while to think it through. I made a pros and cons list. I put everything down there. I talked to both of the coaches one more time just to go over everything again. Um, but I feel it was very important also for me to realize like worst case scenario, I transfer. And I get like it's not ideal, but say I don't like whatever after a year, like you can transfer. And so I feel like that stressful part of, oh my gosh, what if I make the wrong choice can easily be corrected. So that was probably the most stressful choice is choosing.
Yeah. But it's got to feel good once that first offer comes in, and then schools start realizing like, oh, she is a collegiate level player. We need to get on a call or something. That's got to feel good.
Yes, it felt very good. And especially like more coaches emailing me and reaching out to me. And um, you just also, it helps your people skills as well because you're talking to a brand new person or a coach and you're nervous and you don't really know what to say. So it kind of helps your people skills and communication skills as well, talking to everyone.
And you had offers from, I know you had Division 1 JUCO offers, you had D3 offers. I believe you had, was there Division 2 and NAIA offers?
Yeah, so I had two Division 2 offers, Division 3, JUCO and community colleges. So I had 13 offers in total.
Nice. And then the first offer came at what part of what school year?
It was the beginning. of my senior year. Um, a lot of the tournaments that I went to for club over the summer, I went to Oregon and Chicago, and those were more the main recruiting tournaments that I went to. I met a lot of colleges who would put me on their list and they would email me after. And just talking to them, it would take a little bit in order to build a relationship. Um, but the first offer came, I think, beginning of my senior year. Yeah.
And those were during the live period, not during the school year, right? Those were spring tournaments.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So this is kind of my favorite part of the whole interview. So we call it the fourth quarter. So this is kind of just open forum, your opportunity to kind of share some of your information. I know technically you're still young, but by high school standards and, sophomores, juniors, rising seniors that are looking to get to the next level, they're looking up at you like she's been through it. She knows what she's saying. Give some advice to some of the younger student athletes that are going to be going into the recruiting process, the factors of academics, the factors of a social media presence, kind of whatever you think a young player in today's game, 2022-23 season, what words of wisdom would you give them? This is kind of your open mic time.
I would say, I mean, one thing is don't give up. And I think this comes with recruiting, especially because, I mean, you never know who's watching, you never know who's going to see it. And sometimes, like my Twitter videos, especially when I started, they would only get like 5 views or something from the people that were close to me that I kind of knew. And but I would also say just be consistent in what you're doing, whether that's academically, athletically, um, recruiting wise, video wise, posting things. And because I felt I was very consistent posting on my Twitter, and I feel that's what helped me get seen. So I would say that was a piece of advice. I would also say when it comes to recruiting and when it comes to offers, every process is different and every every recruitment experience is different. Whether it's going to be slow for people or fast for people or the level people get, I would say don't compare yourself to other people and do what feels right for you and not anyone else but yourself. Because I feel my decision came a little later, and I know some were rushing me to get my decision out. But I ultimately felt like I needed to take time to feel what was right for me. And I feel like that's a very important part is you need to do what's good and what feels good to you, not anyone else, and make the decision you feel good. So yeah.
True. I read somewhere that 7% of the high school athletes in America will go on to play sports after high school. So it's like every offer is a good offer. Listen to every coach. Anybody who wants to talk, have those conversations, get on the phone calls, answer
Mhm.
the direct messages. Like any offer, any opportunity is a good opportunity. So don't don't think like I'm too good for this or I'm too good for that. Kind of have an idea of where you want to go, but be open to hearing other coaches out because, like you said, where you ended up wasn't the first or the second offer. So I think players specifically need to not give up and be patient and hear everybody out that is interested in talking to them.
Yeah, I would.
You had a lot of calls that you were kind of like, whoa, that was interesting. And then some of them it was like, oh, that was such a good call. So
Mhm.
you've kind of been on both ends of the spectrum of like the super good calls that you were excited for and those calls that were like, that was kind of weird.
Yeah, I did have a call once that I'm going into nursing, so I'm a nursing major. And sometimes basketball programs don't support it because it is a high demand of a major. And I did have a call one time where they're like, "Oh, what's your major?" And I said, "Nursing." He goes, "We don't support that." And he just hung up. And I was like, "Okay." So there's been those. But yeah, just you honestly, like I had to learn to reply to all the messages and take the calls because there were some colleges where I was texting and I was like, "Oh, I don't know about this." And then I got on the call and I was like, "Wow, that was a really good call." So you just never know. And I feel like getting on the calls really tells you a lot because, yeah, there were some where I was like, yeah, this is not going to work. And some that I really, really liked. So,
Well, thank you again. I know I've been trying to get you on here for a while, so thank you for taking time out of your day. I'm sure you got something, either workouts or getting ready for school. I think you guys are starting school pretty soon, aren't you?
yeah, so I officially leave August 24th. So,
Okay, very nice. Well, have a good year. Have a good freshman season. I'm sure through your dad and your mom and your brother and all your brother's friends, I'm sure I'll hear all about how your season's going, whether it's
yeah.
good, bad, or indifferent. So thank you
Mhm,
again for taking time out today. We'll definitely stay in touch. I'll tag you on the video on Instagram or Twitter. I guess it's
mhm.
Twitter. Um, and yeah, thank you again for your time. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much too.
No problem.